Patton had not been killed yet. On the post was an enlistment man's club. GIs could bring their German girlfriends and do some drinking. The GI's word was law. If he got a venereal disease, all he had to say was she did it, and she would be locked up for 30 days. There was still not a shortage of women who could come to the club. The Allies after the war prohibited shipments of food to Germany for a couple of years, so there was much hunger. Even before the end of the war, there was starvation. In Worms at the replacement depot, I saw this little kid about 12 trying to keep up with the other kids as they played. His legs showed that he was obviously malnourished. That was sad. I had some good times learning to use my new film pack camera. I had obtained some glass plates and used them in my processing. I had some flash powder and tried that a few times. That's really going back a while. That's the earliest way of flash camera work. I did as a lot of people did with their glass plates. I got rid of them. I felt they were too much trouble later and threw them away. I had pictures of them from them anyway. But there is nothing to equal a glass plate for a pleasing print. I have one plate left that I know of, which is the one I made of my discharge. I should have kept them for old time's sake. For years after the war, I used flash bulbs. By early fall 1945, the Army had pretty well disarmed the U.S. zone of Germany and put the people that wanted in concentration camps. The third IDA was to move to more permanent quarters in Darmstadt. I still did not have a radio assignment, so continued to drive when there was driving to be done. I had collected considerable things in my stay at Melsungen, so I went to the commander to see if I could make an extra trip with the things I could not carry all at once. It was okay with him, so I went to Darmstadt with a load about 75 miles south of Melsungen. I have not checked the distance, but it's south, right south of Munich. One day, I wanted to see how long I could keep my foot on the floor in a Jeep, and found that I could do it for 30 minutes. There was no traffic cops to worry about, just avoid poorly filled in bomb craters. There was no traffic on the Autobahn either. I found that a wartime Jeep could go 67 miles an hour top. Later, I wanted to find out how fast the 42 Buick would go. So I got it out on the freeway and put the pedal to the metal. Just as I reached the top speed of 92 miles an hour, I heard something like it was trying to pass me. This was shocking because when I began the speed test, there was not another vehicle in sight. But with a roar, a P-38 zoomed past me, low overhead. If this had been a few months earlier, I would have been a dead duck. Some bored fighter pilot was having his fun. So Blake and I got a room overlooking the casernes and still not operating a radio. In October, the major activity was managing the huge number of displaced persons. I remember a few hundred were housed in an abandoned empty warehouse. The same month, the division had settled down enough, and for entertainment, it had organized a football league. We were allowed to go to Berlin to see the division football team play another team. I was not interested in seeing the football game as long as I could see Berlin. At the same time, the Allies were dedicating a monument to their victory over the Germans in the Tiergarten. I saw just part of the ceremony because I wanted to see the Reichstag where Hitler and Eva Braun died from self-inflicted wounds. I assumed the Allies made it out of wood so it could be dismantled easily. I have inquired about it since the war, but cannot find anything about it. I don't know the name of it, so it's harder to check. My bet it is no longer there. I had to borrow a camera to take with me to Berlin, and it was a cheap German one that rivaled the cheap American cameras. It would be okay in the sun, but the day I went up was cloudy, so my pictures did not turn out very good. I've lost all but one or two anyway.